Right.
Hello, Samir.
Hello.
What's up?
Not much.
Good to see you, mate.
You
Haven't
too.
saw you from Belgrade, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah. Alfredo, I think your camera is better tonight.
Yeah, I think one of the things to learn is well, to learn from experiences, and I went over everything again on my end today more carefully. And one of the things I looked at was lighting.
Good evening, Arnes and Danica.
Hi.
Welcome everyone.
Guys, sorry for the technical problems last night. Hope it will be better tonight.
It's already better.
Yeah. I've gone through some Google advice on reducing or even eliminating echo. So let's see how it works. Welcome, Aydin. Welcome, Paulina.
Hello.
So I think we are missing Jim only. There's still 3 minutes to go. Who is singing?
Somebody.
There's Jim. Good evening, Mr. Marshall. Okay, so we are all here. Yaro will probably join later.
Right.
So I think we can start.
All right. Very good. Let me start. I wanted to follow up on something that came up yesterday. I take it everyone can hear me all right?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
good. So I wanted to follow up on something that came up yesterday, and that is the concept of data journalism and the concept of data visualization. These are, in fact,
Whoa, what was this?
Is someone typing?
I think you should mute all except the main speaker.
Yes. That's a very constructive suggestion, Aydin. You're muted now.
Okay, lovely. Thank you. So what I was saying is that yesterday the question came up about data journalism and also data visualization, and I think it's important before we go any further that we differentiate what the two are, because although they're often connected, they're not the same thing. The data journalism is the art of finding a story in a pile of data and producing a piece of journalism. Now, the journalism you produce from a piece of data journalism, or from a data journalism project, may include data visualization, but it's not necessary. You might be able to write a story without data visualizations that is still data journalism. And also likewise, you can produce a data visualization that is not based on a project that is data journalism. For example, well, anyhow, there's any number of examples. I just wanted to make that clear that although the two often do overlap, they are not the same thing. So let's move on. One of the main questions that I've gotten yesterday was, well, you know, how do you go about doing this? And that's what I'd like to go over today. And I'll be using this particular data as I showed you yesterday concerning the polling data for the most trusted and least trusted institutions in the Western Balkans. Before we do that, though, I want to go through a little exercise that I think is very useful, very helpful in helping to stimulate the creativity and also to get you to think visually. I was a print journalist myself for many years and worked in a newsroom, and there's often I'm going to mute the feed on what I'm doing there. All right. So did I mute myself? Am I still? I think I'm okay, right? Anyway, so I think it's important to find ways to stimulate your mind to think visually. One of them, of course, is to study other data visualizations, as we did yesterday. But I also think that sometimes it's a good idea to do the exercise in a backward sense, where you start with imageries and work your way back. So what I would like to do is do this little exercise. I'm going to put an image up on the screen. Why don't I go ahead and do that now? Let me try this one. Let's try this one. What I want everyone in the group to do is to take a look at this thing and just type in, one or two sentences in the group chat, or if you want, I mean, maybe we could do it in an organized fashion if I could have unmute people. Take a look at that thing and tell me what is the story? Well, what are the chain of events? What's the story that's leading up to this picture being taken? This is working correctly, right? You guys can see the photo, okay? Photo is blinking. Nice. Okay. Let me. Is it still blinking? Well, I can't see, unfortunately. All right, let's try it like this. Let's just try it like this. Just go to the chat, and everyone will just look at it on their own. I've given you the link to the photo in the group chat box. Yeah, certainly does. But tell me the story. What's going on here? What do you guys think? Mm-hmm. Yeah, good. Mr. Good. Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay. Anyone else? No other thoughts, no other opinions or theories as to what's going on here. No. All right. Well, let me ask you this. Said this is a story of kids being caught in conflict, being evacuated, being rescued from kidnappers, etc. What do you see with these themes, these ideas that we've come up with? Do you see any possibility that any of these have maybe some data that's being stored somewhere about this? Okay. Maybe there's some statistics from the United Nations about the effect of license like that. Okay, not quite sure. Thank you, Adi. There might be some statistics, perhaps, at the United Nations concerning the number of children who are caught in conflict situations, for example. This particular picture happens to be taken in Mexico. And this particular picture happens to be taken in Mexico. It was taken during a shootout between the police and the army and some drug dealers. And this is just some child who happened to be on the street when the fighting started, and they were trying to get him out of there. Let's go on. Let's try something. Let's try another one. Maybe this one. We'll get some creative juices started. So I put in the chat another photo. So just take a minute, take a look at the photo, see if there's any kind of story that you think is leading up to this photo. If you feel particularly strong about it, maybe you want to talk and not write, just let me know and I'll mute you. What do you mean? Yeah? You still smoke? So before we jump to the data, tell me that we were still looking for the story. We're looking for the story first. What's the story here? Okay, you guys are thinking like journalists. You guys are skipping. Yeah, could be that too. Could be that too. Thank you, Ajin. That's what I'm looking for right there. Ajin typed, disillusioned girl, trouble like parents being divorced. That's not data. That's not that's a story. That's a story. A piece of fiction in this case, but that's a story. That's what I'm looking for. And that's what I want you to try to do with these pictures. Yeah, there you go. Children in the adult world, definitely. Almost children, possibly. Yeah, okay. Okay. Good stuff. Yeah, possibly. Yeah, it's definitely good. Could have an air of that too. You've seen it before. So, Jim, do you know the story? Do you know the real story behind this? if you look very closely at the cigarette, you'll notice that there's no smoke coming out of it. Because in fact it's a candy cigarette. She's not really smoking. So that's an issue. That's a lesson for a whole other course. But based on some of these ideas we've thrown out, what kind of I know some of you have already started throwing out some data. What kind of data do you think we could generate from these particular stories? Definitely underage smoking is a definite story there, definite data. I'm sure there's numbers there. Definitely numbers on the number of candy, yes, indeed. Indeed. Children in the fashion industry. So on and so forth. The average age of a model now. So on and so forth. Someone talked about child prostitution. I'm sure there's all sorts of numbers and data about that. Let's try another one. I think we're starting to get a little more of a flow on this thing. All right, let's try a sports-related one, possibly. This is number 4. Kiaji? Could be, yeah. One story there. Yeah, good one. Okay. Any more thoughts? Anything else you want to throw out? It's almost instinctual. Don't think about it too hard. Just whatever pops into your mind, I think. All right. So we got a few stories here. What kind of data, what kind of numbers do you think we can find related to these ideas and stories? Okay. Well, we're talking about thin, long-distance runners are. We could probably compile some numbers there. There you go. Okay, so thank you. That's a good one. There's definitely a number there. There's some data there. Olympic medals won by Africans. All right, let's just do one more, I promise, and we'll move on. Number 7. What do you think were the sequence of events that led up to this photograph being taken? Think of it that way. Here's a moment in time, frozen. Tell me what happened right before that led up to this. Who are these people? What's happening here at this moment? How'd they get here? Could be. Looks like there's a lot more going on than just that, though. It certainly did. Yeah, good one. And these other people in the photograph, what's going on with them? I don't know. I mean, look at the expression on the woman with the dark hair by the automobile. I don't know if you can. I don't know how big your screen is, but can you see the expression on her face? That could be. She doesn't look too happy about the whole thing. It's almost like she recognizes them. She can recognize them, and she doesn't approve of it. Yeah, I kind of see that myself. Okay, now the tricky part. Is there any data connected to these events? Are they celebrities? Number of divorces or number of marriages, I suppose. Let's start with those. Any more thoughts? Anything else? Nothing. Yeah, good one. Okay. Well, as I said, this is an exercise I found very useful in terms of stimulating creative thinking. I'm not sure. It's important. It's important to stimulate creative thinking one way or the other. And let's just go on to the next part of the session. Let's see if I can share this next page here with you. Yeah, it's blinking again, huh? Okay. Let me give you the link directly then again. Take a look at this thing again. All right, so we're all looking at this particular data visualization. if you recall from yesterday, by hovering the mouse over each of the icons in each of the 6 countries, you can see how the public views particular institutions in each of the 6 countries. It's interesting that in Bosnia last year, television was ranked the most trustworthy institution. I know we have at least one. Well, we have at least one TV reporter here today. Apparently, you're doing very good work out there. Anyway, so let's go talk a little bit. I want to talk to you a little bit about how the process of how this thing came about. We're working on a project concerning open government in these 6 countries, and as part of the project, we did some polling in each of the 6 countries. It was more than just trusted institutions and least trusted institutions. There were a whole series of questions regarding trust in government, openness, open data, so on and so forth, public services. So each of the partners in the country generated a report. I would like to be what the report looks like. Let me go ahead and try doing that. Let me go into the Google Hangouts here. Let's come back to the Google Hangout thing. And come on, baby. All right, can you people see what I'm doing now with this report? Or is it, again, blinking? I wonder why it does that. Tihomir, are you looking at the screen right now?
Yes, but it is still blinking.
It's still blinking?
It is. I think try closing the screen share function and then restart it again.
Okay. How about now? Still blinking?
Actually, less so. At the moment, it isn't.
It isn't okay.
It's okay.
Okay,
It's
I think
okay.
what happened. Okay. I think I figured out why it's doing that. Anyway, so this is one of our think tanks in Serbia, for example, and the Center for Euro-Atlantic Studies. They wrote a rather comprehensive, I believe, 109-page report on the current state of open government in Serbia at this time. There's a huge amount of data and information in here that they've compiled. My job, and I approached this as if I was a journalist, in fact, I went through this report looking for what would be an interesting story in here. As it happens, the story I found most interesting was in fact based on data. I came across this table here. And I believe yesterday it was mentioned being confronted with a table like this full of data and numbers and trying to figure out a way to report on this in a fashion that's not going to that's going to be compelling and interesting and getting the attention of the reader without crushing them under a pile of numbers. Now you have to remember I had 6 of these reports with tables like this. So what I did is I thought this is interesting, trust in institutions. I'll zero in on this particular data set, as they say. So I gathered all 6 reports and they all had similar tables, or they all did it in slightly different ways. So the first step that I wanted to do was to put it into some kind of a consistent format so that I could study it and think on it as to how I would make a data visualization. So the first thing I did is I went over to this website. Not blinking, is it? Okay, well, I went over to this website, which is actually a tool that's actually created for school children to create charts in graphs. And I'm not embarrassed to say that I looked at several different places, and this one seemed very easy and clean and simple.
Fredo, we are not actually seeing anything.
You're not seeing anything, okay.
It's just a black screen.
Let me reset it then. We'll go back here. How about now?
Slightly blacker than it was.
All right, why don't I just give you the URL then?
Yeah.
I'll give you guys the URL here in the chat. We can go look at it together. This is an example of dozens, scores, maybe hundreds of online tools, free online tools related to data visualization that you can use. I happen to like this one. I stumbled across it while I was looking for, I just did a quick search on Google, create a graph online. And this one was very highly placed in the Google search results, so I clicked on it, and even though it says that it's for children, for school children, it was sufficient for my purposes. Let me give you another link we can look at here. And I'll show you the next step of the process here. I'm going back to the chat box and I'm putting another link in. And you can see that there's some tabs on the right, and you can click on the different tabs. And you can, if you go to the one called data, that's really the most relevant one. Very simple little tool. I just put in the name of the institution, the percentage of people who said they expressed some trust in it. And then this tool just, if you hit preview, then it automatically generated a little chart. Now at this point, my thought was I'm just going to put these charts together for my own use, so that I've got something to study in the first phase. Now this is an example of a representative piece of visualization, because in real life, of course, bars do not exist that float in the air telling us what the percentage of people in Serbia are who trust the president of Serbia, for example. This was the first step. And I considered, would this be enough? And I thought, I don't know, I'm going to have 6 of these charts with a lot of blue lines. Yes, somebody who's patient, I would, another fellow journalist, for example, or myself, who's patient, who has a great interest in this, might slowly go through and read all of the 6 charts. But I thought, why can't I create something that will show me the results of all 6 countries at once, with the most salient, important fact, which is what is the most trusted. And being a journalist, I had to write the lead for the story. And what was my lead was going to be was who is the most and who is the least trusted in these countries. That's a typical approach to writing a news story. So I thought to myself, well, how do I write that lead for my story, but not using words, but using an image? And then I don't want 6 different images with their bars, but I just want one single image. Well, I thought on it a little bit, and I thought, well, we're talking about a regional area. We're talking about a region. So the first thought is, okay, a map is a good start. Because we're talking about 6 adjacent countries, So logically, a map is probably going to be a good idea. Then I'll pick out what is the most popular, most trusted institution in each of the 6 countries and create a reflexive representation, an icon of each of those 6 institutions and place them on the map. So there's a certain creativity, a certain creative process. In this case, to me, it seemed rather obvious. I mean, if you think of it in retrospect, yes, you got 6 countries with one thing in each country. Let's place a map and put something to represent each of those things. But it is the process, and that jump first just the boxes with the was creating the actual visual reflective sort of visualization that reflects something in real life, like the photographs do. So once that was done, I'm going back to the Google Hangouts. Once that was done, once I had the idea in my head, then I had to make it happen. I'm not an artist. I'm not a computer programmer. I'm a journalist. I've done my job. My job is to find the story in the data, in the report. Next, I will write an article, but I still want this visualization done. So what I did is, because I work with very limited resources, I work in the NGO sector, and I don't have a staff. I don't have a computer programmer, and I don't have an artist on staff. But one of the things, of course, with the internet today is that there's a lot of resources, a lot of artists, and a lot of computer programmers who are willing to work for you as freelancers. I don't know if any of you are, although most of you work at news organizations, so I'm going to assume you have backup staff, IT people, developers, artists who are available to you. Is that correct? Or I think maybe some of you are freelancers, or well, some of you will have staff available to you. Mr. Elvin does not. You're a freelancer, is that right? Yeah. Well, either the publication that purchases your article will have to invest in India. Okay. Okay. So, Samir, you understand? Okay. As I said, I'm in the NGO sector, and we're not particularly. I just want exchange that for a quick illustration for you, which is what I did in this case. The artist charged me 175 American dollars to create the visualization. And then I found a scripter on the same website who did for me the JavaScript, that allowed me to combine the first charts that I had created with the map I had created, which is the final product you see. And the scripter, I believe, cost me about maybe $50. $50. So the whole project was maybe $225 if I recall correctly, to create this visualization. Now for us, the cost-benefit analysis was pretty straightforward. This particular report that I wrote and this visualization I created got a huge amount of media coverage at the time, and a lot of publicity for our project, and then we hoped it would have some influence too on the work we're doing there. The site I happen to use is one called Guru.com, and they have freelancers from all over the world willing to work at all sorts of prices. I prefer them because they're much more selective in who they allow to join. In some way, that they have to pay a fee. The freelancers have to pay a fee to join. There's some other ones like freelancer.com, which I have also used in the past, but it's more difficult to work with them. Although if you're willing to put up with stuff, you can find people to do it very cheap. You can find some some teenage kid in Bangladesh or something who's a wizard with JavaScript, or something who's happy who's very bad and needs some work, for example. It's a global. I've been very happy. Anyway, so that's how that got to there, and that's how that happened. And I think the visualization was very successful. As I said, it was even used on a Albanian quiz show, which wasn't exactly our target audience, but we were happy to have it out there. Now that I've taken you through the technical steps, is there questions, follow-up, anything, any comments, questions about the process?
Did you want to speak?
Anyone want to speak? Comment? Question? No. Well, definitely data comes first. I mean, that's your job. Your job is to find that story in the data. Our job, we're journalists. Or I was journalist, you guys are still journalists. We're storytellers. That's our first thing. Yeah, there's a bunch of tools. I'll show you that. I was going to leave that for the end. Well, let me finish this question though. Our job is to find the story in the data. We are the storytellers. We are the creative ones in this process. We're not the artists. We're not the computer programmers. It's our job to do the analysis of the data, to find the story, and then from the story, jump to the visualization. Does that help? Great. Yeah, I could show you some more powerful tools. Hold on a second, let me pull up. I've got a huge list of stuff. Certainly, if you just do a Google search, you'll find huge amounts of material. This is an extremely popular topic right now. I picked out a few of my favorites, a few that I happen to like a lot. Let me go ahead and pull that up. Alright, so there's a lot of free online tools. Let's take a look at this. There's a lot of free online tools. This is just one sample of one. For example, mapping tools. Those are really popular on the web. Charting tools. Certainly much more sophisticated tools than the one that I use for this particular one. If you want, this one right here already is going to give you more than you need. All sorts of charting tools and mapping tools. A lot of the free stuff. But again, in many ways, I mean, this is what I can do is I can show you a lot of tools like this that show you how to do the first step, which is how to organize the data into representational visualizations, charts, whatever, basically charts. The next step after this is the more difficult one, the creative one, where you come up with the picture. Yeah, this is free. Yeah, a lot of these are free. I believe all the ones on this particular page are free. And if you actually have a budget, you can buy even more powerful tools. Okay, let me get you another one. Well, I think this is a good place to start, actually, this particular page. And you'll see that this is a very well organized resource. On the left, you can tell you can search for tools based on what you're trying to do, and then it will generate a list of tools. So we go to page number 3, show a table with text and figures. You click on that, and it will move up into on the right, the specific online tools. I believe all, but not all of these are free. Pretty sure. Yeah, free, open source, so on and so forth. And like I said, I mean, maybe the project you're working on, this is enough to come up with something like this. But I really encourage you, I encourage everyone very strongly to consider this only the first step. If it's possible for you to create a reflective image that reflects one. Yeah, of course, the best ones do charge, yeah. You get what you pay for in this world, and there's nothing is really for free. Well, let's take a look at this visual.ly. What is this? Yeah, Martin is there ready to assist me. Okay. Yeah, if you got a lot of money. Yeah, if you got money to spend, definitely. Definitely. That would be something like guru.com is what you're showing us there. But I think this one that I sent, the first one I sent you here, this visualization tool, I think this is a really good first start. It's very well organized, and like I said, you can narrow it down as to what the project is about. But anyway, to get back to my main point, as I said, this is usually only the first step. You want to try to make the jump to the visualization. It's a concrete visualization. Like yesterday, or the morning, and so forth. Any more questions on this process? There is, and if you do have the budget and the creativity myself, I also like to work with video myself. Right now, for my organization and on our members, I do create documentary-style films. I have not created a full-on video data visualization yet. I haven't had the right project that I thought fits video yet. But if any of you have experience in video, and I know some of you do, this can be an extremely powerful tool also. And again, you combine the metaphorical with the concrete in your imagery. Let's go ahead and take a look at that, because we didn't have time yesterday with all with the problems we were having. But there's something on the YouTube I'd like you to see. Give me just a second, I've lost the bookmark here. There it is, okay. I'm going to go back into the Hangouts, and let's try to see if I can use this YouTube tool. Alright, so it's about 2 minutes long. Any free animated graphics creator. Yeah. Let's just take a quick look at this thing. So, any thoughts, any reactions in the context of what we're talking about, not about the issue of executions itself, but in terms of how effective a tool this is in terms of transmitting data and telling a story. I'll unmute you if you'd like to. I would like to. Let me see if I can unmute you. No, I can't. A great execution, yes. Well, I'll give you my thoughts on it. My thoughts are that there's a huge amount of information and data that's transmitted to you in just 2 minutes. There's a huge number of numbers there, a lot of numbers that flow, that run by you, and yet it's not, I didn't find it overwhelming, despite the huge number of numbers. The other thing is interesting is the way it's combining all these elements we've been talking about. Charts, graphs, lines, icons, maps, and it's all blended together. And it's even got some music, which is really quite nice. I mean, as journalists, you don't have to take that point of view, but you could certainly report on it. Report on things, you don't need to do it with music, but it really does an outstanding job of combining all these different elements. I don't think it was done with a free animated graphics creator. They definitely had to pay an artist. And it's interesting because I've gone through several years that they produce. They produce this video every year, and they don't do as good a job as they did this particular year every year. So I don't know if the project is handed off to somebody who's not as good at it, or what happened. But certainly in 2011 they really peaked. And I use this as an example in all my classes. Any other thoughts, questions on the process of creating a data visualization? Questions? More resources?
Maybe raise your hands if you wish to speak, or just unmute yourself and speak.
When to choose video as a tool? Well, probably when you have the budget for it. But again, it's just there's no hard or fast rule about when you're going to go with video. Like I said, I've gotten a lot of reports myself, and I haven't quite found the right project to do with video because it is a bit of an undertaking. I'm just going to say when you feel it's right. You may be in the creative process, in the abstract, and it may seem logical to go with video. I have seen some, in my world, I have seen some videos created about data. It's just starting. Some of it quite clever. I should probably think about introducing some of that, but this one really does it. Sure. Let me get that YouTube video up here.
I think Geldin has already shared it.
Okay, cool. Yeah,
Because some people, I asked because some people have problems with the YouTube app.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah. But it's fine. I mean, as far as I could tell, only Danica didn't actually see it. So,
That's a good one to study. I mean, it's a really good one to study. And there's a lot of interesting issues in that one. That one was not produced by a journalist. It's got advocacy in it. I don't know if any of you are engaged in advocacy journalism or not. But that one's got some advocacy in it. There's some stuff in there I don't think is quite fair that you wouldn't be able to get away with as a journalist. But the principles definitely apply. The way they combine the data, the charts and images and so forth, is definitely valid. So, if there's yeah, no, it does not come cheap. It does not come cheap. Definitely, as it happens, I think one of you said you had an interest in programming languages, computer programming languages. I happen to have an interest in video. So I lean a little bit towards that myself because I'm able to produce it myself, produce videos myself. But the graphics still, I wouldn't be able to do it. I would still have to get somebody to do it. I would have to come up with the concept and the theme and the script. That would be my job. Come up with the script for the thing. That would be your job. If you're ever fortunate enough to find yourself in a position where you've got some budget to do something like this. All right, well, if there's nothing else, let me give you guys my email address.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, please.
Just a quick question. The problem that we in Bosnia have, probably the bigger problem than making the visualization of the data. We have a problem with the data because of the lack of transparency of institutions and agencies and things like that. In a situation when we don't have official data from the government, which is really hard to get here, is it possible to do visualization and how to do it with our findings, photographs, data that we actually saw doing our field work and something like that? How is it possible to make visualization out of that?
Well, absolutely, yes. Any data that's been generated, gathered in legitimate scientific fashion is absolutely fair to use. In fact, I would trust that a lot more than I trust the figures that the government is probably creating and hiding for whatever reason. The data visualization I showed you that I created, which includes data from Bosnia, that was not generated by the government. That was generated by private groups. So absolutely, yes. The answer is yes. Anyway, I've given you all my email address. If you think of anything, have any thoughts, any questions, this is something of a passion of mine that I'm very interested in and work on a lot. Any feedback, etc. Please do consider me a resource.
yeah. Alfredo, I think we need to explain also what happens next in terms of what you will post on the platform. And I think also we need to give them a rough time frame when they can expect that.
Yeah, well, what we want to do is to create a static version of this 2-day course. that would be available, accessible outside of this live environment that we've been going through today and yesterday. Some of this stuff I would like to refilm in a more academic way, I guess. In terms of the time frame, unfortunately, I'm going on holiday. I'm going on holiday this month. I'll be gone most of March, so probably I won't be able to get to it till. And I've got a conference in Chisinau next week, so I'm going to be in Chisinau and then on holiday most of this month. So I probably will take the project on in April. So sometime in April, I think, is what we're looking at.
Right. And if I may add, I suppose the standalone version of this will also contain some of the links and instructions on sort of, practical,
absolutely.
practical work as to how you actually can try yourself to create items or visualize data, or how you can exercise trying to do so. And then you will see later on, when you get familiar with the platform, there are internal networking capabilities on the platform, so you can communicate with Alfredo, with Yaro later on, and so on and so forth. So you can also expect support from us once you decide to produce items or visualize data for your pieces, either within this project or for your work otherwise.
Let me just close by saying, we're coming on 9 o'clock. Let me just close by saying that really the thing I would emphasize the most is to start thinking, if you're interested in this, is to start thinking visually all the time. Try to stimulate your imagination, your creativity, because that's really where the jump is made from data to visualization. It's a human process. It can't be done with a machine. It can't be done with an online tool. You can put numbers and charts all day long, but that's not the creative act. The creative act is coming up with a vision of something in your mind that's real, that reflects that reflects the reality of the story in the data. Thank you.
I think Aydin has a quick question.
Yeah. Sure, go ahead.
The floor is yours.
Yeah. Well, my question, I assume that most of you noticed there are some news portals that are producing news only based on data journalism principles, such as 538 or the New York Upshot, and those type of media. General, what do you think about it? Is that sustainable type of media, or should it always be attached to the traditional media?
Well, I don't think it's any different from traditional media. It's funny you mention that, because it's a completely different topic. To me, there's a much bigger issue that you're touching on there, and I think that the model that media is still using for a large date advertising model. And if you look around, there's a newspaper called the Christian Science Monitor. They have no advertising because they are funded by a grant from a religious group, and they're not interfered by this grant. So they have the freedom to do things. And I think this is something that has to be looked at in the future. I think the models of funding, you talk about sustainability, you're talking about money, is what you're talking about. Who's going to fund this stuff? I can tell you, advertisers, they're going to advertise whatever is going to bring them customers. It's not always aligned with trying to make a better, trying to do the role of the journalist, which what I was taught is that it's a pillar of a democratic society. Oftentimes you can do both and it's not a problem, but I don't think that's sustainable. But certainly, what you're on a less philosophical note, to answer your question, sure. I don't think data journalism is any different than journalism that's been done in the past. It's just more accessible. It's become, because of the huge amounts of data that's now available through computers, it's become another branch of journalism, like sports reporting or crime reporting or something. Now it's data reporting.
Okay, thanks.
Any more questions?
All right, guys, why don't we call it a night then?
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. All will be in touch soon regarding this and also regarding your pieces. Thanks a lot, Alfredo. And have a good weekend all.
Thank you all for coming. Yes, have a great weekend.
Cheers.
Cheers. I'm out of here.